This is our first training. So you guys are launching the Survey and Save Forest initiative. Thank you. So we are thrilled to see how much interest there is both in the online and the in-person trainings. I'm Judy Laird Jacobs, the Executive Director of the Friends of the Blue Hills. And the Friends is a member-supported organization that helps care for the Blue Hills trails and forests and protects the park from inappropriate development. Your involvement in this project is key to helping the care for the forests by helping to better control invasive species around Ponkapoag Pond. Debbie will be giving you details about how you can participate in the survey and will explain that after this training, you can join us at one of our on-site trainings or start working on your own. You're welcome to survey once or go back many times. Whatever you can devote to this project is really appreciated and really helpful. So just so you have them, the in-person events are this Sunday, July 18th at 9 o'clock, August 10th, and August 21st. And they're all of them are held at Temple Beth David at the South Shore parking lot. That's where we'll start. And then we'll walk to the Ponkapoag Fisherman's Beach. And because you're participating in this training, you can come to all of the on-site trainings. You can just come for the snacks and say hi and then skip the training part and just do survey, or you can do the survey as a refresher. We'd love to see you, whether or not you stay for the training a second time. And since this is July, it's membership month. So I would be remiss if I did not mention that we have a whole month of events to thank our amazing members. And if you're a member, thank you. If you're not, I invite you to join the Friends of the Blue Hills as a member and then celebrate with us on July 22nd at the Lions Turning Mill near Quincy Quarries, where there is both a museum and a hidden ruins. It's really cool. Most people don't know about it. So you can see all the events and sign up at friendsofthebluehills.org/membership-2021. So we are very fortunate to partner with Debbie Merriam on the Survey and Save the Forest initiative. Debbie has a wealth of knowledge about invasive and will be leading the trainings. She'll be your point person if you have questions, and she will be developing the invasive management plan after we're done collecting data based on your observations. Debbie is the Arboretum Director at the Mary May Binney Wakefield Arboretum in Milton, and she has a master's in environmental management and is interested in understanding how ecosystems can adapt to climate change. One more note is we are recording, so we will send you a copy of the recording at the end in case you want to review it again. So now I'm going to turn it over to Debbie. Thanks so much, Debbie.
Thanks, Judy. Great. It's great to be here, and it's great to have so many people interested in being involved in this project because, like all of you, I am very fond of the Blue Hills Reservation and the Friends of the Blue Hills as well. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. And you're welcome to put questions in the chat, but we might cover some of the things that you're interested in finding out about. So you might want to wait, but it's up to you. All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, are we all set? Can everyone see okay and hear me? All right, good. Let me just move this guy out of the way. Okay, so this is called the Friends of the Blue Hills Reservation Invasive Species Tracking Project. And again, thank you for joining. And when you download the app, this is the image that will be on the cover. So this is kind of our image that will you will recognize as Ponkapoag and the Blue Hills in the background. So the purpose of this project is threefold. The first phase, which is extremely important and why we depend on you, volunteers and supporters of Friends of the Blue Hills, is to collect the data on the prevalence of 6 invasive species in the sensitive ecological areas of the Blue Hills Reservation. Now, this has been determined as a very important area in the Blue Hills, and it is ecologically sensitive for a variety of reasons, mostly because there are a lot of native species that are there that are extremely important and very unusual. So that's why we are going to focus on this particular area of the reservation. The second phase will be to develop a management plan to deal with the invasive species. And that will be what I am doing and spending my time doing. And I want to say that this has been funded through a grant with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And so that this money will go towards making this project be realized. A management plan will be developed. And ultimately, it will be a management plan that can be used in other places in the reservation. So this is the first phase. So you were involved in the launch of this incredible project. And then the third phase, after the management plan is developed, ultimately, it would be great that volunteers from Friends of Blue Hills Reservation will be implementing the plan. And the idea is that I am, and I know that Friends is very concerned with not using chemical treatments in the Blue Hills. So the idea is that we are developing a management plan that does not use chemical treatments. And I can talk about that a little bit more as we go on. Okay, so let's see. So before I go on, I just want to define what an invasive species is, because it's important to understand what it means to say invasive and why we want to control that. And that is, it's a non-native or alien to the ecosystem under consideration whose introduction causes harm or likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. Now, I think of it more in a very simplistic way, especially in a place like the Blue Hills, is that once invasive species are in the landscape, they tend to dominate an ecosystem and they create a monoculture. So you have one species and it crowds out all of our very important native species that many of our natives, other species depend on. So that is what we're focusing on in the Ponkapoag area. All right, so the area that we're is deemed the area of ecological importance. This is a Google image, and you can see Ponkapoag Pond. And then you can see a fine red line that is the Ponkapoag Trail. It has like 6 different names, but it basically goes around the pond and then down to Fisherman's Beach and then over here. And then it also includes the Bog Trail, which is a very unique ecosystem if any of you have experienced it. So this is the focus of the first phase of our project. This is the red trail that goes around Ponkapoag Pond. Now, the second phase is this green area here, and this is where the AMC camps are. But we're not going to focus on that area right now. I'm particularly interested in collecting data along the trail here. So what's great to think about is if you're collecting data, you can just walk along the trail and look at both sides and collect data that way. You are not going to have to go off trail. You're not have to go into the woods or anything to collect your data. Okay, so that is important to think about. Now, I'm going to go through the invasive species that we're looking at, and you do not have to memorize the species in this video or this session. I'm just going through them briefly just to give you an idea of what they look like. And the reason that I don't have to go through it very carefully is because the app we're using on our phones has a lot of information already on it, and they match what you're looking at with your camera with the actual species. And I'll talk a bit more about that. But we're looking at these 6 species: buckthorn, which is Rhamnus cathartica, multiflora rose, Rosa multiflora, black swallowwort, Vixictacum nigrum, Oriental bittersweet, Solastris orbiculatus, Phragmites, which is Phragmites australis, and finally garlic mustard, which is Alaria petiolata. Now you might be wondering why I have the Latin names, and that is because there are many. All right, so an example is buckthorn. There are maybe 20 or 30 different buckthorns, but they are identified by their Latin name. So the Latin name is what we are going to be looking for when we enter the data onto our phone. So you can start with buckthorn when you're looking through the search, but when you ultimately press the button, you need to have the Latin name. And that's why it's going to be included in the PDF that we're sending out to people. So we're going to be collecting data for the next 10 months. So we have a long time to work on this process. And we can also focus, if you have a particular interest in focusing on one species, you can do that. You don't have to do all 6. You can choose, if you're very familiar with what garlic mustard looks like, you can just do the garlic mustard. Or if you want to learn some of these new other species you don't know, you can choose which ones you want to enter the data. You don't have to do all of them. You can do one, as many as you want. And what's great about doing it over the next 10 months is certain species are much easier to see in the winter. And so particularly something like buckthorn, this is a tree. It's a small tree, but it is very problematic in many environments. And why it's problematic is it continues to keep its leaves into December and January. So when all of our native species have dropped their leaves, buckthorn is still in full leaf. So you could be walking through the forest and you could see this tree in the distance and you're like, oh, that's buckthorn because it's in full leaf in the middle of winter. And then we look at something like garlic mustard. Garlic mustard is very prevalent in the early spring when a lot of our trees aren't blooming. So it's much easier to see. So it's a great, it's really wonderful that we have 10 months to identify and observe all of these species as opposed to a very short window of time. Now I'm just going to go through them briefly to give you an idea of what they look like. So buckthorn, or the invasive kind, is Rhamnus cathartica, is a tree, as I mentioned. So it's a woody plant and it has black fruit and green leaves. But what's mostly easy to identify is this is what is got spots on the trunk, and these are called lenticels. It's how the tree breathes, actually. But it's very identifiable because it has very identifiable spots. So that's one way to identify it. The other way to identify it, if it's a young tree and maybe the trunk is not that thick, is that it has very pointy buds at the end. And this is the only species of buckthorn that has that. So if you get to a point in your identification and you're not sure, you're like, oh, it's very pointed at the end. This must be buckthorn. Now I want to say, if you get it wrong, that's fine. Okay, this is what's great about doing this work. There's going to be a correction in the process. So if you get it wrong, it's not a big deal. It's not like, oh, I made a mistake. It doesn't matter. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, and so the next one is bittersweet. Oriental bittersweet is the common name. Solastris orbiculatus is the Latin name. This is a very common plant in New England. Most people know it by the fruit that it bears that we use in our decorations. But this is the problematic part, which helps this plant spread. Okay, so bittersweet is a very common, and it's a woody plant and a vining plant. So this is how often people recognize it, because it has this very thick vine that can vine around trees and ultimately strangle and kill them. The next one is Phragmites, and this is a reed plant that depends on growing in water. So there's only one part or two parts of Ponkapoag where we're even going to see this plant. So it's not that common, but it's very recognizable and identifiable because it will be in very swampy areas. It can grow in water. And it's very tall. It's 10 to 12 feet tall. So this is an easy one if you see it. This one is incredibly common, and it's multiflora rose. And when I was doing the first pass through on the trail, this plant is everywhere. And what's great about it is that roses have similarities, and they all have these pinnate leaves, or this leaves, and then serrated edge. But what's very interesting about multiflora rose is it has these tiny little thorns on the edge. And I went out and collected a bunch today. And I don't know if you can see it in this image, but I can see it. It's really identifiable when I picked it, because these tiny little thorns are right on the edge. It's also this rose that we see everywhere. It's got a white flower. If it doesn't have a white flower, it's not multiflora rose. It's probably swamp rose, which is a good native rose. So it's a good plant to identify this time of year and for the next month, because it's in full flower. Garlic mustard, many of us are familiar with this plant. If you're not sure, you can break it off and smell it. It smells like garlic. But as I mentioned, it's past for this season, so you might see some of it. I did pick some earlier today, but it's much smaller and not as, the flowers have already passed. But that's okay if you don't see it, or if you do see it, it will probably have gone to seed, or you will see it in this phase. So it's because it's called a biennial. It has 2 years of a life cycle. This is the first year. This is what we're going to see a lot of, and you're going to see it all through the winter, because it's very tough and it will stay green throughout the winter. So this is the first phase, but this is garlic mustard as well. So first phase is without the flower, and then second phase looks like this, much more upright. And then finally, the black swallowwort. And this is an interesting plant. We have a lot of it. When I walked the trail at Ponkapoag, I didn't see a lot of it, but I know it's problematic in other parts of the Blue Hills. So we will be looking for this plant. What's very identifiable, especially for the next 3 months, are these big pods. They look like beans or peas. And I picked some today. And once the pods come out, you see them everywhere. And each pod holds something like 700 seeds. So it's very quick to adapt and vine around things. So that's what you would be looking for now, that stage where it has the pods, or just where it's vining around. Okay. Now, I don't expect you to know all of these plants right now. It's a lot of information to take in, but I just wanted to go through the plants briefly that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so the next thing is to talk about how we're going to collect the data. And we're going to use our phones, which is amazing to me that we can use our phones to collect data about invasive species, okay? And we're using an app called iNaturalist. And Friends of the Blue Hills already uses this app for several projects, and I'll mention them in a little while. So if you're already doing capturing plant data for Friends of the Blue Hills, you already have downloaded this app onto your phone. But this is a free application for everyone to use, and it's collecting data about not only plants, but all kinds of animals, everything you can imagine that's living. So it's an incredible opportunity to collect data and be a citizen scientist and contribute to worldwide research that is being conducted every day. And we are going to use it to collect our data as well. So how it happens, we're actually going to download the app together, but I just want to go through this very briefly. You're going to download the app onto your phone or your Android or your computer. Now, I have it on my computer as well, because what's really interesting, if you download it onto your computer, you can see a lot more information. So if you have that opportunity, I would download it onto your computer and to your iPhone or your Android or your smartphone. I'll just say that. You're going to create an account, which is free. You're going to take photos of the plants that you see walking along the trail. You're going to add in a few details, and then you're going to save it. And then we will have all of that data captured, and we will use that to understand how invasive species are impacting the Ponkapoag area. Now, so the name of this project is Friends of the Blue Hills Invasive Species Tracking Project. I know it's a long name, but once you download it onto your phone, it will be in there and you will not have to do that again. And let's see. As I mentioned, we are focusing on the trail that goes around the pond. So this trail. And then I included this trail because there's a walking trail that goes right through the AMC camp. So we're going to include that now. And then the next phase will deal with this area now. Now, the question is, how are you going to know where to collect the data? Well, this is the next phase. So you're going to also have to get the map of the Blue Hills Reservation. Now, this is available through Friends of the Blue Hills, and you can just download it. You go to Friends of the Blue Hills website, and you can download the map. I like to print the map out because I like to look at maps in the paper form. So you can print it out. It's an amazing map, and it's very legible. So you're going to have to download the map as well and print it out. Or you can just download the PDF, which I included in the chat box. And then we're focusing on this area of the map. So everyone can see we have the Ponkapoag Pond. And I circled these two areas because these are the best places to park your car when you want to go and collect data. So you can park at, this is Blue Hill River Road. It is where Houghton's Pond is. If you go past the Houghton Ponds and you pass over 93, there's a parking area there. So you can park there. And then you could survey this end of the trail if you wanted, or you could park at Fisherman's Beach and survey this end of the trail. Now, someone else mentioned that you can also park over here at the golf course and then work on this part. But you can park at these places to do your work, okay? Now, this is the map that's included in the PDF that is in the chat box, and Judy will, we will put that at the end as well. So when you download the PDF, it will have this map and the area that we are focused on. So we are focused on the area of the map in red. So you can see here, it's the boardwalk. And then it's the Ponkapoag Trail, goes around all the way to Fisherman's Beach, and then just to here to 5216. Now, these numbers, for those of you who don't know, are on the trees. So when you're walking along the trail and you're not sure where you are, you will go a certain amount of distance, like this is 1/3 of a mile, and you will see this indicator on the trees. Okay, so these are the trail markers. So 5355. So if you decided one day you wanted to go out with your friends or yourself, walk your dog, and you park at Fisherman's Beach and you say, okay, I'm going to record, I want to walk this way. I want to record 5321 to 5355. That's fine. You can do that. And you don't have to, I'll explain this, but you don't have to, this is just for your own identification purposes. Because when you take a picture of the plant, the picture will be geolocated. So I will know where you've taken the picture of the plant. You don't have to do anything. You walk up to the plant and you take a picture of it and it will geolocate the plant. So this is only for your own peace of mind that how much work you want to do in one day. So you could say, well, I'm going to walk here. I'm going to walk from Fisherman's Beach. I'm going to take Acton Path to 5216, and I'm going to do this whole section, and I'm going to do just garlic mustard, or I'm going to do just multiflora rose because I know what it looks like. That's great. You can do that. That's fine. So That's what we're thinking about. And so this map is included, and this is the area that we're focused on, the red trail that goes around here. Okay. Now, we are going to move into the next section, and we're going to open the chat and people can ask questions. But what I would like people to do is try to download iNaturalist onto your phone, your smartphone. Okay, so Judy, if you want to come in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror my phone. So you're going to look at my phone on the screen, but we're going to go nice and slow, and everybody can grab their smartphone, and you're going to go to the App Store, and you're going to search for iNaturalist. Okay, so I'm going to mirror my phone onto the screen now. So that'll take a second. Let's see. So,
and it looks like it's maybe the second option that I'm seeing on my iPhone.
yes.
With the picture of the bird there.
Yes, so it's
The
the
bird.
picture of the bird, and it's free. And so you want to download that, and it might take a minute or two to download.
Mhm.
And I'm going to take a second to mirror my phone onto this. Now, I just want to point out to everyone, if you can't download it in this session, it's totally fine. You have my contact information. I'm happy to go through it with you individually. So if it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. Okay, so let me just mirror my phone here. Okay. Okay, so everybody should be looking at my phone right now.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So iNaturalist, I already have iNaturalist on my phone, so unfortunately I can't go through each step. But if you're having an issue in the download, just write it in the chat, or you can just turn your microphone off and we can talk about it. Okay, so once you download the app, you want to create an account. So you'll need a login number. Sorry. Hold on, I just lost my. I just lost my share.
You're still sharing.
Oh, I am?
Yep.
It's funny, I'm not seeing it on my screen. Hold on. Where did it go? Sorry, I have to do it again. All right. So how's everybody doing on downloading?
Good.
Okay.
I got an account. I'm good.
All right. Very exciting. Let me try to do this again.
Well, they've got a video tutorial.
That's the other thing. If you are having issues, the iNaturalist website has excellent excellent videos and excellent information for anything that you need. Okay. All right. Okay. So at this point, if you've downloaded and created an account, you would go to the bottom of the screen when you see the three dots where it says more. And then you would click on more. So once you click on more, two things come up, projects and guides. So you would go and you would click on projects. So once you go to projects, if you just touch, you should be able to search for a project that you want to join.
Oh, I see.
So you would type in Friends of the Blue Hills Invasive Species. If you just type in Friends of the Blue Hills, it will come up. So if you start typing, it should show eventually.
Yes.
Yes.
Join.
Joined, yes. How are folks doing?
I'm joining.
Okay, hi, everybody else pretty good?
I'm joining.
Yay, I'd love to see the thumbs up. That's great, so exciting. Okay, so, and these are, you can also, while you're doing this, you can join Better Forest Challenge, which is also Friends of the Blue Hills. And Better Forest Challenge allows you to collect data on not just plants and invasive plants, but all kinds of plants and animals. So that's my plug for that as well. But so if you've been able to join, so then you would, oh, I'm clicking on the screen, it's so hard. Okay. This is what you should see next. So once you join, okay. Now mine says leave because I've already joined the project. All right.
Okay.
So what's really cool is these are all of the observations that I did with some of my coworkers at work. So what happens is now that you want to make an observation, okay. So everybody has joined. Now you have to go up to the back arrow. So it's this arrow up here and click on that. Now at the bottom of your screen, you have a camera. You click on the camera. Oh, I keep clicking there. So you touch the camera and it comes up like this, okay?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I have no idea how to join. And so I would like to be able to follow through.
Sorry, I was going to respond on the chat, but I wasn't quick enough. But Debbie, if you don't mind just showing her, or do it.
Okay, so what you want to do, did you download the app?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you have to go to projects. Hold on, sorry. Okay. So to get to projects, it is the more button in the lower corner here in the lower right corner, the 3 dots. You press on the 3 dots.
I don't really see that, and I'm not sure why. When it opened, it just opened to observation for some unknown reason. I don't know if I...
Excuse me, I think maybe it's an issue of Android versus
on
Apple.
Android for sure.
So if you have Android, this is Joyce speaking. There's a 3-line menu up at the upper left-hand corner. And projects is
Yes.
listed under that.
Oh, thank you.
And then
Sure.
I just look
I think
for
it's just-
the Blue Hills.
Yeah, and then you'll
Yes.
need to search for that.
Yeah, and then you click on projects. And then you
Great.
have to search. Yes. And
Thank you.
You're
no
welcome.
worries. Excellent. Thank you, Android people. I'm not an Android person. Okay, so as I mentioned, once you join, it will ask you if it can use your camera, but you need to go up into the left-hand corner on an iPhone and click on the arrow to go back. And then you can open the camera at the icon at the bottom of your screen.
I have an iPhone, but oh, now I have a camera. Yeah, okay.
Excellent. Okay, so now you click on the camera and you get this, the bottom of my Webster's dictionary, which is my computer is sitting on. Okay, so I'm looking at this, but I'll hold up an invasive species here. So when you're in the field collecting data, this is what you would do exactly. You would take your phone, and when you see what you think is an invasive species, you would open it just as you did, okay? So now you're in the photo mode, and I'm going and I'm looking at this plant. Let's see, I'm gonna get, sorry, I'm not trying to make everyone dizzy, but I'm gonna take something that's pretty identifiable, which is, this is a black swallowwort pod. All right, I'm gonna take a picture with my oven in the background. Okay, so I took my picture. Now you can just practice on your counter, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just take a picture of something. Okay, anything is fine. Okay, and then you see at the bottom, it says retake or use photo. Now, when you're in the field, you wanna make sure that you get a leaf or a flower or the fruit, okay? But it's most identifiable by the leaves, unless it has something like our black swallowwort, which has a very identifiable pod. So this is a pretty good image. So I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna use this photo. So I'm just gonna hit use photo. And even if you took a picture of your counter, just hit use photo, it's fine, okay? And then this is what you get. What's amazing about this is if you look down, it's geolocated my phone to the latitude and longitude. You see this down here? I live in Cambridge. What's great about this is how we geolocate the plants. So that's why I said it doesn't matter. I don't need to know exactly where you are on the trail, because the app will give me the exact location, and it's very accurate because I tested it with the Garmin. So I know the Androids are even more accurate than iPhones, but they're both very accurate and very useful for this project. So it's identified where we are, right? I'm here in Cambridge. I have my plant, and then you see it here. It says, what did you see? Okay. So if everybody says, just touch that, even if it's a picture of your counter. Now look at that. I didn't do anything, and the app has identified what it was looking at. So this is black swallowwort. It's a Toxum nigrum. Now remember, I said it's very important that we put the correct Latin name, because here we have European swallowwort, we have regular swallowwort, but we say this one, okay? So I'm going to press on that. You could do the same thing if you want. All right, I wouldn't, because it's your screen or your counter or whatever, but you can. Okay, so now I have my plant. I have an identification here. And then the last thing is I have notes. So what's great about this is if you're on the trail and you see black swallowwort, but you're not sure, you say, I think, or you could say there is high density of black swallowwort, or you could say this a multiflora rose is 10 feet high. So if you put any kind of note in there, it's very helpful to me when I look at the data, because then I can make adjustments. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you are, especially something like garlic mustard, which is an individual piece of, it's an individual plant, you could say thick stand of garlic mustard, right? Or you could say there must be at least 50 stalks of garlic mustard. Or you could say the bittersweet is in full fruit and the vine is very thick. Or you could just say baby bittersweet or something like that. So whatever you write in the notes is very helpful. You don't have to write anything, because when we go through the images, I can tell a lot of information from the images. Okay, so at this point, sorry, I lost my, okay. So here we are. Now I'm going to go to the bottom and see where it says share. I'm going to hit share. Okay, so because I did that, I'm going to go to my projects, and it's going to load my observation. Okay, it said loading, and it's going to load the observation up into iNaturalist. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So once you've done that, I will look at my, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go into iNaturalist here. Hold on a second. You're all being very patient. Stop sharing that. Now I'm going to go into iNaturalist. I'm going to open that. Okay, I'm going to open projects. That. Okay, all right. Let me share my screen again. All right, so here's our project. So once you start putting your information in, and this is why I suggest downloading it onto your computer, you can see all of the information that's being loaded and who's the member. You can see everything. So it's really amazing. And then I can see all of the plants that you've documented. And that way I can check to make sure it's correct. But I'm actually not the only one that's checking. Other people involved in iNaturalist are going to look at your plant material and see if it's accurate or not. So when I did the test, I actually took a picture of a lilac bush outside of my office and I labeled it as bittersweet. And within 2 hours, someone said, that's not a bittersweet, it's lilac bush. So it's an incredible software. And there are actual real people looking at your plants and looking to see if your documentation is correct. So, and then once you do this, there's all kinds of things that I can do. I can look at individual species on the map. So if I only want to see garlic mustard, I can go into the map and say, and create a filter. And that way, all of your information is loaded into this software, and then I can use it to create the management plan. So I'm going to unshare. And we're going to go, Judy, do you want to open up and we can, people can ask questions and see how people are feeling about this?
Is it okay if I just show them the?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sure. So once you actually get out into the field and start taking photos of in the area that you'll be assigned, then it would be really helpful if you, after you've done the work, if you do a trail, if you report it on our website. And this is in part because this is, as Debbie mentioned, part of a grant. And so we need to keep track of the number of volunteers and the hours that you're spending. And also it's just good to know how much work everyone is doing. So you go to friendsofthebluehills.org /work-report. You can also get it through our regular web page. I'm afraid of losing this for you, but I'll go back again to show you. But once you're here at this page, and I'll also send this link to you, you fill out the work date, the work report date, which comes up automatically, your name, the number of volunteers that are with you, which is really helpful to us. And then just the names of the volunteers. You could see I was writing a whole bunch of people's names. This section, we're going to all be in Ponkapoag, and most of the work will be on Ponkapoag Trail. But if you're on a different path, you can put that as well. These are all the ones in the Ponkapoag region. And then the work completed, you can say the trail markers, in between which trail markers you worked. And that will help indicate which section of the trail that we know you've collected data, the number of hours you have out there, and you can, like in the comments or something, you can also tell us, like if you focused on specific plants or if you looked at all of the plants. That's up to your discretion, kind of what information you want to tell us, but it's kind of whatever you can tell us is would be very helpful. And now I'll just go from our homepage just so you can see it. So this is our homepage. You would go into volunteer and trail maintenance. And then report. And here you are again. So if every time you go out into the field and collect data, that would be really helpful to us. If you also filled out one of these. And if we see you posting, we'll probably send you reminder emails. If you could just let us know. That's it. So, so Debbie, when I uploaded the information sheet, people couldn't download it. So you might want to try. You might have better luck. And let's see, are there other questions? Oh, you already did try.
Yeah, see if people can download it now. Oh, good. I got some thumbs up. So I
Yep.
just, yeah,
Oh,
excellent.
good. It was
So,
just,
yeah, and that has the map and it has it has my contact information. You can text me. That's I work outside all the time in my job, but you can email me, text me, whatever. And I also work I work in Milton, so I'm happy to actually hop out and do some observations with folks, if possible sometimes. Just because this is a great project and it would be great to do that with people. I do suggest that you try to do it with someone else if possible, because it's better to have two eyes on the plant as opposed to one. But you could see that the app is very good at literally weeding out things that are not correct. So I think it's pretty good. And I see somebody said, what shape is the boardwalk in now? I would imagine it's underwater, so we might not get there for a while, but I don't really know. Yeah, so, and what was the other thing I wanted to say? And feel free to come out for the in-person trainings, but if you're interested in if you like, say you walk your dog there all the time, and you want to focus on one or two species, what I would suggest is just looking at pictures online. So on Google, just look at a bunch of pictures and it will be very helpful. But once you begin to see the right plant, it will pop up everywhere. Believe me, as somebody that looks at invasives all the time, I drive down the road and I see them everywhere. So once you familiarize yourself with certain species, you will see them everywhere. So, okay. So that's interesting. People are asking about getting rid of swallowwort. It's because swallowwort propagates vegetatively, which means even if you pull it out, it will grow back, as does bittersweet. It's very difficult to get rid of. So what we do at Wakefield is we do carbohydrate starvation. We just pull and make sure things don't fruit. That's the most important things, because that will cut down on the spread of certain species. So. Let's see.
so Joe had trouble signing up, which I'm really sad about. So I just put my email in the chat. If anyone has trouble signing
Oh,
up,
no, I just muted it.
I would be happy to sign you up manually. And the truth is, you can also just show up. We have your contact information, and I can take it there.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to also sign you up. That would make life easier in terms of administration.
One thing I would highly recommend is when you go out on the trail is that you have a copy of the Latin names with you, because it's unless you're familiar with Latin, you can remember the common names, but it's hard to remember the Latin names, and you want to make sure you input the correct Latin name, as I mentioned. So if you print out the PDF, you'll have the Latin names and the map all in the same piece of paper.
Which one is, where is the PDF?
It's in the chat. It says, it's right here. It says, sorry, FBHSTP information sheet PDF.
Okay, I've got two that didn't come through. Okay.
The last one, if you click to download it, you should be able to download it.
Well, what I got was 2 pages. Was it more than that?
It's 2 pages, yeah. Sorry, it's 2 pages.
Oh, there's the Latin names. I'm sorry. I thought, okay, I got it. Never
No
mind.
worries, no worries.
I will, if it's okay with Debbie, I'll probably just put a link on our webpage so that on the, it's Friends of the Blue Hills /survey-Ponky. I'll put that in the chat. And so you can just find it there.
Good.
And as I mentioned, I'm really happy if you're out on the trail and you want to text me a picture of something, if I see it, I'll get back to you. It's perfectly fine. Just not between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Otherwise, I'm good. So.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. I saw this. Yeah.
Great. Are there any other questions? Well, we will follow up with the link to sign up again, as well as the PDF, and we'll put it on the website. And I want to thank Debbie for all her work on this and for making herself available to all of us who are not as technically savvy and might not know enough as much about plants as well. And thanks to all of you for helping us with this project. I am so looking forward to what you're going to collect and what we develop in terms of a management plan. So are there last questions? List of plant names in the news or in the tabs of the project, so it's handy for the app. In the
Yeah, so if you download the project onto your computer, you can look at the list of plants. For some reason, I can't look at them on my phone, but you can look at them if you download it onto your computer.
Yeah, I was just suggesting that if I don't know how you do it, but if you enter it in the about section or the news section on the app, then it's handy on the phone and you don't have to print it out or have it in another place.
Okay, I can do that, no problem. Good idea.
Just an idea. I don't want you to have more work since you're doing so much work already.
No,
Oh,
that's
good.
very easy for me to do. I can do that. That's great. Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, and very excited and to work on this project and have so many people involved. So we really appreciate everyone taking the time to learn how to use the app. And once you use it, you'll use it for everything. We found this incredible moth today at work, and we used iNaturalist, and we found what it was. It's Sphinx moth, very cool. So that was exciting.
so the moth is something that you could totally upload to the Better Forest
Challenge,
So
exactly.
I'm so glad you also uploaded that project. And just since you know you're the guinea pigs, please let us know anything that might be helpful, like kind of including the plants in the app or the link in the website or anything that kind of is getting in your way. Let us know what might be helpful going forward.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Great. So thank you all, and please keep in touch, and we'll be talking to you soon. Hopefully we'll see some of you on Sunday.